TFAS, thank you for inviting me. Thank you to all of you for getting up and getting out and getting dressed. I'm excited for you because I have been in your shoes. I actually did an internship in Washington, D.C. when I was a sophomore. And I have to tell you, it was one of the best summers of my life. And I made some incredible friends, and I have relationships, as Roger spoke of earlier, that have lasted from then till now and will probably continue for the rest of my life. So I hope that you all enjoy this, that you embrace it, that you dive into it with everything, because this can be one of the most incredible experiences you guys will ever have, and it will lead to more incredible experiences and relationships. So one of the reasons I want to be here and share my experience and story with you is because I want to encourage you all, not just to have a great time, but to have an open mind about everything that you're about to do and the people you're about to meet. And I want you to be able to explore not just this area and this experience, but yourselves, because you're going to learn a lot about who you are while you're here. So one of the things that I do, you saw earlier, Stereotype 101, it's one of the humorous programs that I created to get people talking about diversity and inclusion. And that led to my starting the Foster Russell Family Foundation. And if you guys ever want to reach out to me, I want you to be able to get this down if you need to. And I don't mind if you're tweeting while this is happening. You're allowed to do that. I'm not going to be offended that you're looking at your phone. It's all good. But like I said, I'm here to celebrate you guys. And I want to do that because you deserve it. You're worthy of it. I also am here to talk about diversity. Now, it was touched on briefly earlier. I am one of those people that actually thinks diversity is really, really broad. Almost so broad that there's not enough time to cover it all. Because when you think about it, true diversity is about the whole spectrum of who we are as human beings. Right? It's not just ethnicity, it's not just race, it's not just religion, it's age, it's socioeconomic status, it's where we come from, it's our political beliefs and affiliations. It's way more than I have time for. I also think that sometimes focusing on diversity, the differences that we all have, can be a negative. So I prefer the term in-versity, which is something that I coined because it's not just about diversity, it's more about introspection. Right, and understanding what we have in common, which is, I think, way more than we have that's different, and also understanding our connection to humanity and our value and our worth. Because if you can see that in yourself, then you can see it in someone else a whole lot easier. So I'm going to ask you to do something very bold. I'm going to ask you to take a minute for me, trust me, and your neighbor, of course, because I'm going to ask you to close your eyes for a second. And I want you to answer yes or no to the following questions, okay? You don't have to do any kind of acknowledging. You don't have to raise your hand. You don't have to, verbalize anything. Just close your eyes for a second and answer yes or no to these questions, okay? Have you ever thought that people who are overweight are lazy and don't have any willpower? Have you ever thought that attractive people probably don't have to work as hard as everybody else to get success? Have you ever been in your car and a black or Hispanic man has walked by and you locked your car doors or thought about it? Have you ever heard someone with a southern accent or a foreign accent and thought, oh, that is a shame, too bad they're not very bright? Or better yet, a British accent and thought, oh, they must be really smart and classy. Have you ever been driving in your car and been cut off and thought, oh, I bet they're Asian or old? Now keep your eyes closed. If y'all answered yes to any of those questions, would you please raise your hand? Okay. Keep your hands up, please, for a second. Can everybody open their eyes and look around? Okay, awesome. First of all, I want to say, yay, thank you. Thank you for your honesty. Secondly, congratulations. You're a certified human being. Guess what? We all do it. Every single one of us. We stereotype. We have ideas about other people. Why do we do that? Well, I think there are three main reasons why we do it. The first is that it's human nature, right? I mean, and this goes back to when we were cave people. We would take a few seconds to make an assessment to see if something was a danger to us. Back in the day, it was a saber-toothed tiger, right? A physical threat. Now, is this going to be an emotional threat to me, right? So we make our assumptions so we can figure out how to protect ourselves, how to take care of ourselves. And we do that in split seconds. Has anybody ever read Malcolm Gladwell's book, Blink? Right? Excellent book. If you haven't read it, I highly recommend it. He says that within 6 seconds, we can decide whether or not we're going to date somebody. He doesn't say date, but this is a family show. Another reason that we stereotype is because we've learned. We've learned. Sometimes it's been unconscious, sometimes it's been on purpose that we've been taught to stereotype. Because we pick up things from our families, right? We pick up things from grandparents, from parents. We also pick up things from the media, what we see on TV, from the video games that we play to the movies that we watch. And we don't even realize how ingrained it becomes in our heads, right? Who are the bad guys? Who are the good guys? Who are the women who deserve to be rescued, right? All of that stuff, after years and years and years, plays its role in how we see the world and ourselves, okay? So we have to have a consciousness about that. And the last reason that we stereotype is because we have this thing called an ego, right? We like to be able to know where we stand in the world, where we can put somebody else and where we can put ourselves. And none of these are bad. They're not bad. It's just part of being human, okay? But the idea is to have a consciousness about it. So I'm going to tell you all a little bit about me. In case you're wondering, I'm black. Thank you, thank you. You know, I share that because especially when I'm doing stand-up, I see the audience is staring at me like, that hair, that behind, but that voice, not so much, not so much. Yeah, no, here's the thing. I grew up in Plano, Texas. Has anybody heard of Plano? Woo! There we go. Got some Texas people over there because that's the Texas call, right? Woo! Yeah, Plano, y'all, is a suburb, a really, really nice suburb north of Dallas that happens to have the ethnic diversity of Sweden. So there were not a lot of folks looking like me. Actually, y'all, my senior year of high school, I starred in an all-white production of the play A Raisin in the Sun. 2 guesses on who the raisin was. Right? And what was interesting is that I kind of became like the automatic black representative for all of my melanin deficient friends. Thank you, smart people. And they thought, you know, they just assumed that I knew and could do all things black, like dance, right? So they would gather around me at the school socials, right, chanting, right, go Karith, it's your birthday, go Karith, it's your... I was like, no, it's not. But it is coming up, thank you for saying something. Yeah, I lost 18 black points that day. Trust me, those were way harder to make up than cool points. But the craziest thing is, I'm like a quarter Irish, okay? So I don't know if I've ever even truly broken it down, but I could river dance like nobody's business. And I swear to you, if I wasn't in these heels, I'd do it for you right now. I would. But Plano, I don't want to give Plano a bad rap, because it really was a great place to grow up. There just weren't a lot of me. And that kind of set me off on a path to understanding that I had to be okay with who I was from a very early onset, right? And I've had lots of challenges. I mean, I've had things come up, not just, you know, ethnic-wise, race-wise. You know, I've dealt with body image issues. You know, my whole life have gone up and down on the scale. And that's another thing we stereotype people about, right? And you know, I'll say right now, I'm actually very comfortable with who I am as I am. I don't know if it's because I'm older. I also know it depends on where I'm geographically, though, how I'm supposed to feel about myself, right? Because if I'm on the East Coast, especially New York, D.C., I'm pleasantly plump, right? When I go to L.A. for auditions and stuff, I'm a beached whale. But here's the deal, y'all. When I go out to the Midwest, I'm anorexic. And it is awesome. Seriously, if you're ever having a fat day, you buy yourself a one-way ticket to Kansas City. Okay, you will feel like a supermodel like that. And I've tried crazy stuff, right? The dumbest thing I ever did was, oh God, I did this thing once called the Master Cleanse. Have you heard of this? Beyonce did it, Gwyneth Paltrow does it. This is what you do. You take some water, right, squeeze in some lemon juice, add organic grade B maple syrup, and then a dash of cayenne pepper, and you drink it till your butt burns. Which is apparently how you know it's working properly. I will say this about that. I did not know it was humanly possible to go number 3. I was wrong. But then I got smart, right? And I did something called eating breakfast every morning, right? Brilliant, novel idea. And I became a devotee of kashi cereal at one point. Kashi, right? Lots of kashi, love it. Good. Lots of fiber, though. Lots of fiber. They actually have this one brand of kashi cereal called Good Friends. Yeah, word to the wise, y'all, if that ever starts to kick in when you're at somebody else's dorm room, they better be great friends. Because you may not be invited back. The smartest thing I ever did, though, and the thing I'm most proud of is, and it was the hardest thing, was I did 90 days once of no sugar, no wheat, no dairy, no gluten, no alcohol. Yeah, don't applaud that. Applaud the fact that I didn't snap and run. You know, seriously, y'all, I hallucinated. Even if I was at the mall, these two little white kids with frizzy hair walked by, I was like, ooh, cotton candy! Glad you're amused, their parents were not. And the thing is, you know, it's a Western society thing. I know it is. But I also know it's like an American thing too, because I am pretty sure we are the only country where we get excited when we get sick. Because we're like, I could lose 5 to 7 pounds, right? Doing absolutely nothing. Other countries are praying they don't get a plague or a super virus. We're like, come on, E. coli! Right? We eat at Chipotle on purpose. You know what I'm talking about. And I think it's not just, it would be one thing if it was just people that we had weight issues in this country. Like people, adults, little kids, but we actually have fat pets now, y'all. Do you know that? There's diet pet food. If that's not a reason for other places in the world to hate us, honestly. And I didn't even know it existed till I saw some at my friend's house, because my friend had this cat, 22.5 pounds. Exactly. If that did not make your mouth drop open, let me put you this way. That's 4 bags of sugar with paws. And the only reason we know it weighed this much is because my friend had to take it to the vet, right? Because it had been limping. And I am not a rocket scientist, but I did suggest that maybe it was limping because it was being crushed under its own weight. Turns out I was wrong. Turns out my friend found out the real reason. Turns out somebody had shot it. I know. Horrible, horrible. Cat survived. It's okay if you left. I don't judge. No judgment zone. Cat survived. Cat was fine, but he had this little limp. And my friend, of course, devastated as anyone would be to find out their cat had been shot. And I was like, sweetheart, listen, I'm so sorry that this happened. But at 22.5 pounds, somebody probably thought it was a bloody wildebeest. Keep tenses inside. So I'm glad you're awake and laughing. I like to get people laughing because I think that relaxes the mood a little bit to sometimes have the uncomfortable conversations. Now, I just want to prove to you real quick, though, that I was not lying about how I grew up. So this was me in like preschool, I think, first preschool, kindergarten. Can y'all find me? You did? Let's see. There I am, I'm in the front row, if you can see me. I look exactly the same, I just have bigger boobs. And then I moved to Texas. Yeah, can you find me? Still in the front row. I love to put me in the front row. And then, 4th grade. I know, it's hard. Take your time. Take your time. Oh, I played soccer. Where's Karith? 6th grade. Yes, and this continued on for the rest of my education career. Even through college, I was always the only black person in any of my classes. And what's interesting is, growing up like that, my mom, she used to say, I think it was a joke, that she was afraid I was going to marry a white guy and bring home zebra grandbabies. And I was like, okay, Peter Griffin, take it down a notch. But then I fulfilled the prophecy. Because I met this guy. Right? And he's not just white, he's super white. He's Australian. He came with a cape and everything. And then we got married, right? And then we made these. Now here's the craziest part. I don't know if y'all knew this, because I didn't know this, but apparently when a black American and a white Australian get together and make a baby, one of them comes out Asian. I know. If that's not proof that we're all connected genetically, I don't know what is. Honestly. But these are my girls, and this is why I do the work that I do. Okay? Because I want them growing up in a world where they're not labeled, where people don't come up and say, what are you? Right? Because being Savannah and Siobhan isn't enough. And I get it, we're curious about each other, but it shouldn't have to be, what are you, so we know how we feel about who we are. I have had some incredible experiences, and it started here, I'll be honest, because this was my first exposure to different people, to different cultures. Growing up from Plano, coming to Washington, D.C., it was phenomenally amazing. And this led to me being able to do stuff like work on The View, right? Then I went to corporate America. I worked at Estee Lauder in their corporate headquarters in New York City. And then I followed my passion, and I became a stand-up comedian, because who doesn't do that after corporate America? But one of the really great jobs that came out of this was doing morning radio. So I want to let you know that the sky is the limit for any of you here. For whatever your passion is, I want you to follow it. But I also want you to have an open mind, because if I didn't have an open mind for any of those things, they would have never happened. So my biggest goal for you guys here, and the message I want to leave you with, is I want you to care, okay? And by care, that's an acronym for what I'm about to go through. It starts with having conscious empathy. And conscious empathy is not to be confused with sympathy. Sympathy is when you feel bad for somebody else. Empathy is when you can actually take the time to put yourself in someone else's shoes, right? What is it like to grow up like this? What was it like to grow up with nobody else that looked like you? What was it like to grow up where you were part of the community that was all the same? You know, everybody has a different experience, and their experiences are valid, and they're real, each and every one of you. So when you try to engage in conscious empathy, these are the questions you ask. What is it like for them, and how would that feel? And I can't tell you the difference it makes in relationships. After that comes active listening. Now, active listening, you know the expression is not what you say, but how you say it? Well, with active listening, it's not what you hear, necessarily, but how you interpret it, right? And it's actually a twofold part to active listening. Because how many people have been in a conversation with others, and they know that person's not really listening to them? They're just waiting to be able to get their rebuttal in, right? To share their point of view, because we're human. We want to do that. It's our ego, right? So active listening is about taking the time to be fully engaged in a conversation. And we're kind of losing the art of conversation these days with social media. I'm not going to get all old fogey on you, but the fact of the matter is when we're just texting each other and on Facebook, how many people have won an argument on Facebook? Exactly. That's why we have to talk with one another. We have to have an open discussion and open dialogue. That's how you learn. That's how you grow. And I had to put that. That's me listening to my husband. Or pretending to. Responsible reactions. That comes next. People in the movie, which you guys will get to see, Jonathan Ronson is an author, and he has this wonderful line. He said, people are a mixture of brilliant and stupid. And we are, right? Sometimes we say really incredible, thoughtful things, and sometimes we say dumb stuff, and it just comes out. So when someone does that, when someone says something that you're not sure what they're saying, you can't go off on them. As much as we want to, you can, but where does that lead you? To a dead end, right? That's not how you engage in conversation. That's not how you have an open exchange of ideas. So if someone says something, your responsibility is to react in a responsible way. And it's hard, I'm not gonna lie. It takes maturity, okay? It takes effort, it takes energy, but it's entirely possible. And that's how we make the world a better place. So, how many people here have ever gotten a backhanded compliment? Yeah, almost everybody, right? Anybody want to share? Go ahead.
Well, for my case specifically,
Uh-huh. You're pretty for a black girl. I've gotten that. Anybody else want to share? There's some other hands.
So it's like, you speak so well.
Oh.
You know, like, you're black, but you're not really black.
You're not really black.
Yes, so it's like...
Like it's an insult to be black.
Yes, like coming from a Caucasian person, so I'm saying, you're telling me that I'm very intelligent, I'm very eloquent, but at the same time, you're also denying my ethnicity, so it's like...
Right. And you know the person meant it as a compliment, but they didn't realize how insulting it actually was. Yes, sir, in the back.
You're the most Asian Harry Potter I've ever seen.
You're the most Asian what?
Harry Potter.
Harry Potter. You're the most Asian Harry Potter I've ever seen. Wow. How did wow. Yes, ma'am.
You're smart for a girl.
Oh, you're smart for a girl. Those are good. That's a good one. That's because you're not supposed to be, are you? No. Anyway, yes, ma'am.
So I'm from Mississippi and I go to a state school.
Uh-huh.
So I stayed in Mississippi for school, and I have been told so many times that I'm too smart to go to my state school.
Too smart to go to a state school. Gotcha. And I got time for one more. Anybody? Yes?
I had someone read my writing, and then they asked me to meet me in person, and they hear my southern accent, and they're like, oh, I would have never known that a southern person could write this well.
I would have never known that a southern person could write this well. Yeah. So here's the thing, like I said, people say dumb things, right? And they probably didn't mean it to be awful. Of course, I don't know, sometimes they do. I call it the 5 C's, right? Why do people say crazy stuff? Well, sometimes it's a lack of truth in class, right? I think we all know at this point that money does not equal class. You can look on TV and see that. Sometimes people say things because they're curious, right? And they don't know any better. They don't know how to ask a certain question. Another reason people say crazy things is because they're clueless. They don't even know. They don't even know what they're saying is. We went to dinner, our lunch, at a tea party with a very, very dear friend from our church in Plano. And she was talking about the matriculation of Asian students into our, the Plano area. And she says, she was trying so hard to be politically correct. You could see it. Like, she was trying so hard. And she goes, well, the Oriental population is, it took everything to be not correct. You're like, Oriental is a rug or a vase. It's not a people. But she tried, you know what I mean? So, but it was just kind of a cluelessness on her part. So she's not a bad person. She's a lovely human being. She just didn't know any better. So I'm not going to attack her for that, okay? What you do is you explain it so people understand so that they can correct themselves going forward, right? And other times people are careless. They just slip of the tongue type of stuff because maybe they're not used to being around other folks. Is that right? No, but if you can catch them in the act, help them catch themselves, then they'll be more cognizant next time, right? And then sometimes people are just callous. Sometimes people are a-holes, let's just face it. We are in the real world, okay? And so you have to figure out how you're going to respond to all of those people. And typically, one of the best ways is to engage in conversation, right? One of the best ways is to say, well, why would you say that? What makes you say that, right? Because you're doing that in a calm way, in a way that opens up for the dialogue and discussion. You're not attacking, and you're not putting somebody on the spot necessarily in a negative way so that they're on the defense and you get nowhere with the discussion. A really, really great, let me see how my time is going, example is this, personal little story. This is Melody Hobson. I don't know if you know who she is. She's like a financial whiz magnet. She's also married to this guy, Star Wars dude, George Lucas. And one of her very dear friends is now one of our senators, Cory Booker. And years ago, she was throwing a fundraiser for him to raise money for his campaign. And they showed up at the hotel, and they told the person at the front desk what they were there for. And the woman goes, oh, okay. And she starts leading them back through all these corridors. And Melody is a personal friend, so I really got to family friends, enjoy the story. And they're winding through these corridors, and she's like, where are we going? So they finally end up in this one room, and the woman turns to them and goes, so where are your uniforms? Oh. Yeah. And they were kind of taken aback. Fortunately, at that time, someone who was with the party came and got them. It's like, oh, there you guys are. And she kind of explained who they were. And the woman, of course, was mortified. And they could have asked for her job. They could have made her feel bad. They didn't. They felt the lesson was learned in the mortification. So that's a really great example of responsible reactions. And the last thing is environmental awareness. You know, be aware of who you're surrounding yourself with, who you're purposely avoiding, and who you're purposely gravitating to. You know, birds of a feather flock together is not just an expression because it sounds cute and rhymes. It's something that we do. We gravitate towards people who we feel comfortable with, right? So all I'm asking is that you just have an awareness of that. And sometimes, you know, go out of your comfort zone. It's okay. And that's the thing. I left with relationships from my time in DC with people who I never, ever thought I would have had any association with. And they've become some of the best friends in my entire life. So when you guys care, well, actually, the challenge is this. Thank you. I'm catching myself. This is the perfect, I think, physical explanation for why we have such an issue with anything in life, period. Do you guys remember this? The black and blue dress and the white and gold dress? Why was it such a big deal? Anybody? Go ahead, back there. Everyone thought they were right. Exactly. And that's life, right? We all are coming from a place where we think that we're right. And that's not always the case. This is the same dress. If for you guys who may be familiar with this, I apologize. This is the exact same dress. And what they found after everybody was having this debate on Facebook and online, and I mean, people were fighting, friendships were ending, divorces were happening. They found that people saw it differently because of how their eyes take in the light. There was a scientific reason behind why people saw two different dresses or a dress different from what the other person saw. And the fact of the matter is, it's the same thing sometimes, but we come from it from a different place. So if we can talk about it, not fight about it, we can make progress. Now, the only thing in the world, I'm convinced, of which there is an exact right and an exact wrong, is this. I'm sorry, if you're an under person, it's just not right. It's not right. So, when you care, and I'm wrapping this up, this is what you get, you guys. You get communication, you get acceptance, you get respect, and you get engagement. And to me, that is what we need to have happy lives. It's what we need to be progressive, positive, impactful people on society. And I cannot tell you how much I appreciate you listening, you giving me your time. This is the program, a poster from the program I do. I take it to colleges and universities all across the country. If y'all ever wanted me to come to your school, you can visit karith.com, or actually I'm going to give you my information. But I just want to say thank you from the bottom of my heart, and enjoy yourselves and your time here.